Hey everyone, and welcome back. You ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Awesome. Well, today we've got a whole bunch of Tesla updates to get through.
Yeah, it's quite the mix.
It is financial news, product updates. We'll check in on how Tesla's stock is doing, and then we're going to really get into it with the future of FSD and charging infrastructure.
We're talking predictions for what your Tesla experience could be like in just a couple years.
Exactly. So it's like every piece of news, even if it seems kind of separate, actually connects back to Tesla's overall plan.
It's all part of a bigger picture.
Right. Okay, so let's jump right in. First up, we've got some news that might worry some Tesla owners, a big recall. What's going on with that?
So Tesla's recalling 375,000 Model 3 and Model Y vehicles.
Wow, that's a lot.
It is. It's from the 2023 model year. The issue is a potential problem with the power steering system.
Oh, okay.
But good news is it's a software fix.
Oh, phew.
Yeah, Tesla's pushing out an update by March 25th, so no need to take your car in or anything.
That's a relief. But still, a software update for power sharing. It really shows you how much Tesla relies on software these days.
It does, and while that has its advantages, it does make you think about reliability long term. If a software glitch can mess with something as important as power steering, what other issues might pop up?
That's a really good point. Let's move on to something a bit more exciting. Tesla's got a new Model 3 performance, and the acceleration is unbelievable. 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 2.9 seconds.
2.9 seconds. To put that into perspective, that's faster than a Porsche 911 Carrera. It's a real statement about how committed Tesla is to performance, even in their sedans.
Wow, that's seriously fast. And speaking of cars that are getting attention, the updated Model Y is getting some really good reviews, particularly for its ride.
Yeah, the new suspension is a big hit. Reviews are saying it's way quieter and more comfortable.
Interesting.
This is a great example of Tesla listening to feedback and making improvements even on models that are already out there.
Right, so smart. Okay, let's talk about Tesla's stock. Did it take a hit recently?
It did. It dropped about 4%. But to be fair, this was part of a larger trend we saw with a lot of tech companies. Things like more competition and those recent safety concerns are definitely playing a role.
Okay, that makes sense.
But here's the interesting part. All the source material we're looking at is really focused on future tech. Almost like they're saying that's where Tesla's real value is, long term.
Interesting. So let's dive into that future tech. The big question everyone's asking is, will Tesla's unsupervised FSD need that new front bumper camera we've seen on the Cybertruck and the refreshed Model Y?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Well, there are definitely some clues that point in that direction.
Like what?
Okay, so think about actually Smart Summit. It needs a clear view at ground level, right? Maybe that's part of why the Cybertruck's been delayed.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Plus, Tesla doesn't just add new hardware for no reason.
So the Cybertruck has the camera. What else is there?
Well, the Cybercab that's launching soon, it'll have the new camera and the AI5 computer. That computer is not only way more powerful than the old ones, it's designed with redundancy backup systems to keep things safe, even if one part fails.
So the connection is that this new camera might be essential for going from supervised to unsupervised FSD.
That's a strong possibility. The hardware needs to be ready for that level of autonomous driving.
It makes sense. Speaking of peeking behind the scenes, there's a new software update that's giving us a glimpse into Tesla service. What's up with that?
Update 2025.2 introduces the Signal Viewer panel. It's in service mode. This panel shows real-time data from all the car's different sensors. It's pretty technical, but it's a level of transparency you don't see very often from car companies.
It does seem like they're letting owners understand more about how their Teslas work. Do you think this could lead to more DIY repairs?
That's an interesting thought, especially since Tesla's already making moves in that direction, like with the Cybertruck's interactive wiring diagram and the online parts catalog. This Signal Viewer could be another step towards giving owners more control.
Interesting. Okay, let's shift gear for a minute. Tesla made some changes in Europe with a new Model Y lineup, rear-wheel drive, long-range rear-wheel drive, and long-range all-wheel drive prices have changed, and the launch series is gone, except in the UK. What's the logic behind all this?
It really shows how Tesla adapts to different markets. Each region has its own preferences, regulations, and these changes let Tesla cater to those specific needs.
So they can attract more buyers.
Exactly.
So what are the differences between these Model Ys?
Sure. The rear-wheel drive is the cheapest, but it has the shortest range. The long-range rear-wheel drive has more range, but it costs a bit more. Then there's the long-range all-wheel drive at the top best performance and features.
Got it. So based on how Tesla's changing their lineup for Europe, what do you think this means for their U.S. strategy? Could we see some of these features or pricing models here?
That's a great question. It's definitely possible Tesla's always trying to improve what they offer and stay ahead of the game. This European lineup might be a test for what's coming to other markets.
That's something to watch for sure. Speaking of the future, let's talk charging. There's a lot of buzz about those 500 kW superchargers coming in Q3 2025. What's the big deal about these V4 superchargers?
These V4 superchargers are a game changer. They'll be much faster, especially for the Cybertruck, which needs a lot of power. But it's not just speed. These new chargers are cheaper to install than what Tesla's competitors are using.
So it's a win for Tesla.
And potentially a win for you as a consumer, too, with the possibility of lower charging costs in the future.
So faster charging for us, cheaper rollout for Tesla, and maybe even lower costs overall, win-win-win. And then there's that virtual queue for superchargers that's being tested. No more driving around the parking lot hoping to snag a spot. How do you think that's going to work?
It's early days, but it could involve something like VIN locking to reserve your spot, maybe even an in-car sign-up process. One thing to think about is whether Tesla owners will get priority in this virtual queue. We'll have to see how the pilot program goes.
Okay, last thing before we move on. Tesla is building its first public megacharger site in California, and it's specifically for the Tesla Semi.
This is huge for electric trucking. It all connects back to the Tesla Semi factory they're building and the fact that they'll soon be producing a lot more semis. This megacharger site really shows that Tesla is serious about changing the trucking industry.
It's a bold move for sure, and it makes you wonder if this is just the beginning of a future where Tesla dominates electric trucking.
It's a fascinating development, and the location they chose for this megacharger site is really strategic. It's right near the port of Long Beach, one of the busiest ports in the U.S.
So Tesla's thinking about the logistics of electric trucking charging needs to be convenient and efficient if the Semi is going to compete with diesel trucks.
Exactly. And don't forget, the Semi is supposed to get some big upgrades soon, including a special European development platform. With production ramping up, Tesla is setting the stage for a big push into the electric trucking market. It really makes you wonder if this is the start of Tesla taking over the electric trucking world.
It's a pretty exciting thought. Okay, so we've talked superchargers and megachargers, but is there anything else happening with Tesla charging?
Well, not directly with Tesla's network, but there's a lot of talk about that CCS to NACS adapter coming out.
Oh yeah, the one that'll let non-Tesla EVs use superchargers? That's a pretty big deal.
Huge. It could open up the whole supercharger network to a ton of new EVs. Tesla would be a major player in the whole EV charging world. It also kind of shows how successful Tesla's NACS connector has become basically the standard in North America.
It's kind of wild to think Tesla started as this small car company, and now they're influencing the entire EV industry.
It's a pretty amazing story, all about innovation and changing things up. And it goes back to their mission, accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy. Electric vehicles were just the beginning.
Speaking of sustainability, what about Tesla's energy storage stuff? Are Powerwall and Megapack still a big part of their plan?
Oh, absolutely. Tesla's energy division is growing incredibly fast. They're installing megapacks everywhere. These huge battery systems help stabilize power grids and let us use more renewable energy sources. And on a smaller scale, the Powerwall is becoming super popular with homeowners who want backup power and energy independence.
It's like Tesla's creating this whole ecosystem for sustainable energy. They're not just making cars, they're changing how we power our lives.
You got it. And that's what makes Tesla so interesting. They're always challenging the norm, pushing boundaries. It makes you wonder what they'll do next.
Well, if this deep dive is anything to go by, whatever it is, it's going to be pretty incredible. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's take a minute to recap some of the big takeaways from today's news. What really stood out to you?
For me, it's how a lot of these trends are coming together. We're seeing Tesla's software focus become even more important. Over-the-air updates are fixing major problems and even giving us a look at how their cars work inside. The focus on future tech like unsupervised FSD and the new AI5 computer is huge. And of course, expanding the charging infrastructure with V4 superchargers and megachargers, that's a game changer.
All great points. And we can't forget about the Model Y lineup changes in Europe. It shows that Tesla's always adapting and changing their strategy for different markets.
Absolutely, and it makes you think about what we might see in other regions like the U.S. in the next few months.
So much to think about. With all this innovation happening so fast, it's hard to keep up. But that's what makes these deep dives so important. We can cut through the noise and see what's really going on.
It's about understanding why things are happening, not just what's happening. We're trying to figure out where Tesla is going and what it all means for transportation and energy.
Right? And sometimes the most interesting questions are the ones that haven't been answered yet. Like with all this focus on software and future tech, is Tesla becoming less of a car company and more of something else? But what exactly are they becoming?
That's the big question, isn't it? Are they becoming a tech giant, a software company, an energy provider, or something completely new? It's getting harder to define them.
And that's what makes it so exciting. Tesla's always pushing the limits, redefining what's possible. It's a wild ride, and we're just trying to figure it all out.
And that ride is only going to get wilder and more exciting as we go buckle up.
Okay, that wraps up part 2 of our Tesla deep dive. In part 3, we're going to dive into the financial side of things. We'll be looking at Tesla's latest earnings report and what it tells us about their future. Stick around. And we're back. For this final part of our deep dive, we're going to focus on the money stuff, Tesla's financials. It's time to look at their latest earnings report and see what we can learn.
Yeah, it's always interesting to see how Tesla's big ideas and goals actually play out in their financial performance.
So what were the big takeaways from the earnings report?
Well, the first thing that stands out is the huge jump in revenue compared to last year. That's thanks to the strong demand for Tesla's cars and the growth of their energy business. But the report also showed that their profit margins weren't as high as expected.
So why are the margins tighter than predicted?
It seems like it's because all the money they're putting into research and development, plus they're still expanding their charging network. So Tesla's clearly putting a lot of resources into innovation and future growth.
It's like they're betting on the future rather than just focusing on profits right now. Is that a risky move?
There's definitely risk involved, but it's how they've always operated. They constantly reinvest their earnings back into the company to grow and stay ahead of the competition. And you can't argue with the results. Tesla's market value is still huge, and they're still leading the EV market.
That's true. But even Tesla has its challenges. Competition's getting tougher, and people still have concerns about safety and reliability. Does their financial outlook reflect these challenges?
Those are good points. The EV market is getting crowded with both the big car companies and new startups all fighting for a piece of the pie. And that recent recall, even though it was fixed with a software update, probably didn't help with the public's perception of reliability. So yeah, those factors are definitely creating some obstacles for Tesla.
So how is Tesla dealing with these challenges?
They're tackling them from different angles. First, they're continuing to invest heavily in research and development. This allows them to stay at the forefront of technology. Second, they're really increasing their production capacity. That helps them meet the growing demand for their cars and lowers their costs. And lastly, they're doubling down on safety, both in how they design their vehicles and with improvements to their self-driving technology.
It sounds like they've got a solid plan to address the concerns and keep moving forward. But with so much uncertainty in the market, is there anything in their financials that gives us clues about what's next for Tesla?
Well, their predictions for the next quarter and the full year show continued growth, but it's expected to be a bit slower than what we've seen in the past. They're also expecting their profit margins to gradually get better as they produce more cars and benefit from those economies of scale.
So maybe a little bit of a slowdown, but they're still moving in the right direction. It seems like Tesla's future success really depends on how well they can handle all these competitive and technological challenges.
Absolutely. It's all about finding that sweet spot, keeping that innovative edge, while also addressing real concerns about safety and reliability. And they have to manage all of this while growing rapidly and maintaining a strong financial position.
It's a lot to juggle, but if any company can do it, it's probably Tesla. They've always proven they can shake things up and push the limits of what's possible in the car and energy industries.
It's been an incredible journey so far, and it's clear that there's a lot more to come for Tesla. The next chapter is probably going to be just as exciting as they continue to try and revolutionize these industries.
That wraps up our deep dive into the world of Tesla. We've covered a ton of information product updates, market trends, the future of FSD, and how their finances are looking. I hope you found this exploration of the latest Tesla happenings insightful.
We've talked about the key takeaways, the things that really make you think and help connect the dots. But remember, the most important thing is what you as the listener take away from it.
Exactly. We've given you the information, the analysis, and the context, but it's up to you to put it all together and draw your own conclusions. What stuck with you? What questions are you still thinking about? What parts of Tesla's story sparked your interest and made you want to learn more?
That's what's so great about knowledge. It's not just about taking in facts. It's about thinking about those facts, questioning them, and using them to build your own understanding of the world.
So as you keep following Tesla, remember to keep asking questions, explore different perspectives, and challenge your own assumptions. The world of tech and innovation is always changing, and there's always something new to discover.
And who knows, maybe one day you'll be the one making headlines, leading the next big disruption and shaping the future. Until then, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep diving deep.
And that's a wrap on today's deep dive. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.